out the window. Sure, there's an element of the fan base that still comes from that era when those bands were very much a part of that. But when you're a band that has become so mainstream and has albums, in both cases of both bands I just mentioned, that are among the biggest selling records of all time, you clearly cross into a whole other threshold of becoming the most mainstream of mainstream, meaning that you see every sort of type of person at these shows. People that would never listen to a heavy rock record go to these shows. People that go just because they know the hits. And of course, the deep old school fans that know everything. So it goes without saying, it is a massive mainstream audience of people super young to people way old. And that's what you see at these events. And this was no exception in AC/DC coming back a year later and selling out the same stadium. Pretty impressive, but really not that surprising when you consider how huge and how they've become pop culture. How these bands just morph into this pop culture world where they are everywhere. And their music is everywhere, and it's heard in every possible way, from TV commercials to movies to, again, the mainstreaming of it. It just goes to a whole new level. So really, there's not a lot I can tell you about this show that has not been said already, because AC/DC are now in their second year, maybe third year, of doing this exact show. They are still branding it the Power Up Tour, even though the Power Up album now is probably over 5 years old. But they're still using that branding, and they are still using that as the theme of the tour. And they're still playing a couple songs from that album in the set as well. So they're still working a record that's now over 5 years old as far as the branding of the tour. But then again, as we've seen, everybody likes to have a name on their tour and some branding of it, give their tour some sort of identity. So they could also just be going with that because it's kind of universal, Power Up, AC/DC, what have you. Pretty Reckless opened. We had Taylor Momsen on just, a week or two ago, and we talked all about them opening for AC/DC. As you've seen, AC/DC does not do any press at all. They're another band that does no interviews, basically nothing for any of their activities. I honestly can't think of AC/DC doing one interview in the last year or two. Certainly nothing in conjunction with this tour. And like I've said so many times, bands do press mainly because they have something to sell. But if you have a tour that's totally sold out and shows that are selling out, there's no reason for them to have to do it if they don't want to. Now, some artists love doing press. I've been talking about it a lot. For the last few years, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have seemingly done every podcast on the planet. And some of it's not just to sell stuff. Some of it's just because they're doing it. I think maybe some of that comes with the fact that they're like semi-done with Kiss. And, a lot of these guys miss the attention. They miss talking about their accolades. They miss the exposure. They want to do something to feel like they're still connected. So some of it could be that. But if you're actively out there trying to sell something, sure, a lot of artists do press, whether it's a tour, an album, whatever. There's a reason for it. Very rarely will they do stuff just to do it, which, by the way, are usually the best interviews. But in the case of AC/DC, if you're selling tickets and these guys don't want to have to deal with doing press, they don't do it. There's been nothing. So we really don't know where all this is going, if anywhere, when this is done. But for years, we wondered if AC/DC would ever tour again, and now we have had them actively touring around the world for the last few years. To great success with no real problems. Pretty Reckless remain in the opening spot. They've basically opened all the shows. Look, I love the band. They are the only thing that's really changed since last year because now they do have a new album to promote. A great album, Dear God, that is out now. And they are doing a few songs from that in their live set. And they go over fine. Look, do I think the majority of people in the stadiums, when they go on, have any idea who they are? I would say probably no. Now, if the Pretty Reckless were on one of the Danny Wimmer festivals or Rocklahoma, which, by the way, they are on this year, so I'll be seeing them next there, sure, the mass amount of the audience knows who they are. It's way more their audience. At an AC/DC show, which is way more classic rock, older based, I'd say the vast majority of people in these stadiums have no idea who they are because it's a different audience. And guess what? That's great for the Pretty Reckless because that's exactly what you want. You want to get in front of people who don't know who you are or don't already know your music and hopefully turn them into fans. You know, if the other night, Saturday night, I don't know, there was 60, 70,000 people in that stadium. If 10% walk out of there now knowing a band called the Pretty Reckless and going to their Spotify's or whatever and checking off that music and listening to it, that's how you build a fan base. That's how you grow and grow and grow. So if you keep playing in front of the people who know you every time and your natural audience, you're not going to really expand beyond that. So it's a great opportunity for them for a lot of reasons, obviously, but that also being a big part of the reason. And they go over great. I mean, they certainly get applause and reaction and people like what they're hearing. But looking around, you don't see anybody singing the words to the songs because they don't know them. There was one part where Taylor Momsen tried to get the audience to do a sing-along. I think it was in Heaven Knows, and there was nothing coming back because they don't know the song. She's trying, you know, but it's definitely not their audience, but I think that's a good thing for the reasons I just stated. But they absolutely go over. They get a nice reception. They play an hour. Saturday, they went on at 7. They were done at 8. And AC/DC went on at 8:30 and were done around 10:30. AC/DC, like I said, virtually the same set, the same production, the same lineup. Stevie Young on rhythm guitar. And Matt Logg remains on drums. And Chris Chaney remains on bass. And those guys stay very much in the background. They are very much in a supporting role. Stevie Young walks forward just like Malcolm did when he's needed to sing backing vocals. Outside of that, he stays in the back along the amps. Chris Chaney, I don't think moves at all, pretty much stays back there, does his job. And Matt Logg, the drummer, phenomenal, by the way, phenomenal musicians, you know, but let's be honest. I mean, especially in the case of Chris Chaney and Matt, they're hired guns. You know, they're there to do the job and they do it extraordinarily well. That guy, Matt Logg, is perfect for that gig. I mean, Phil Rudd was so important to the sound of AC/DC. And again, whenever you change members, I don't care how accomplished they are, it's going to be different. Sure, Annika Niles is getting all this acclaim, rightfully so, as the drummer playing in Rush, as she should. She's doing a great job. But it's going to be different, and it is without Neil Peart there. Just like AC/DC is going to be different, and it is without Cliff Williams and Phil Rudd. The people they have are doing a phenomenal job. And look, in both cases, and we talk about this all the time, doesn't hurt the bottom line at all. Because people will just keep coming and coming and coming to see these bands, even with key members being replaced. Now, in the case of Phil Rudd and Cliff Williams, I'm not surprised at all. And I don't mean this with any disrespect to those guys, but the star of AC/DC is Angus Young, followed by very closely by Brian Johnson. And as long as they're there, AC/DC could go on forever. In the case of Rush, Neil very much was a star of the band, but the Rush fans are so rabid that they just, that's more of a surprising one. But 10 years gone, want to hear the songs again? Boom, there you go, selling out arenas all over the country as we speak. But going back to AC/DC, same supporting cast, and the only thing I would say to me that struck me between seeing them this year and a year ago is I think they were actually maybe a little bit better this year. Angus, what he's doing out there for 2 hours is incredible because he's still being Angus. He's still doing the duck walk thing up and down the stage. He's still doing a lot of the moves. He's still doing some of the jumps. Maybe not as high as he once did, but he's still kind of doing the little jumps. It's crazy. Sure, he's got white hair now, and sure, he's older, clearly, but he's still Angus. But to me, the most extraordinary thing is Brian Johnson. It is extraordinary in every way what Brian Johnson is doing right now. Brian Johnson, who is significantly older than Angus Young, Brian Johnson is going to be 79 years old in October. In just a couple months, Brian Johnson is going to be 79. What he is doing up there at almost 79 years old, a 2-hour set, doing all the lead singing. And again, remember this, they are on stadium-sized stages. They are on football field with the width of a football field stage with a big ramp that goes out in the front of the crowd. I defy you to find many 79-year-old people who could just move around for 2 hours like that, let alone do it while singing music like AC/DC's music in that way. And of course, it's all real and all live, as both bands are on this bill, proudly. AC/DC's not going to run tape. I mean, AC/DC actually probably has, like, in Thunderstruck, the, that chanting stuff. Again, that stuff doesn't bother me. I get it. You can't have a choir or whatever on a friggin' stage. But Brian Johnson is actually, of course, really singing live. There's no AI. There's no bullshit. There's no tracks. There's no nothing, as we see some artists blatantly doing right now. The man is 79 years old almost, and he is doing this still. And it is absolutely crazy. Because we talk about, and I talk about these freaks, as I call them in a positive sense, and you got to put Brian Johnson way up there because of the band he is fronting. He's singing these high-pitched lyric, vocals up over the volume of AC/DC behind him for 2 hours. They're not doing a 65-minute set, 2 hours, while traversing a enormous stage. Just the wind it takes to do that. And he's still Brian Johnson. He's still doing his little dance and his little, trotting around the stage. And it's crazy. Doesn't talk to the crowd much. After the first song, he said, we're here to have a party and play some rock and roll. And that's it. That's all he's got to do. Look, I know Brian. He's a phenomenal guy. He's been on my shows. What you see is what you get. There's no facade there. I think that's why he's so relatable and so many people love him. Because, yes, he is the singer in one of the biggest bands that ever existed, but he doesn't ever come off that way. And he doesn't privately ever at all. But I don't think this guy is getting enough credit right now for what he is doing at his age on a stage that big, singing that kind of stuff. Is it pitch perfect? Does it sound exactly like Back in Black? Of course not. There are a few things here and there he probably can't do. Are some things tuned down? Sure. But is it way better than a lot of people 20 years younger than him are doing, or the people that, of course, are faking it, taking your money right now? God, yes. It's incredible. To me, much like when I saw Rush a month or so ago, and I came out of that show and I told you guys, I get all the attention is on Annika because Neil's not there. I get it. But to me, that was a given that they were going to find an accomplished drummer. To me, the star of the Rush show was Geddy Lee because of how great he sang the stuff and how great he was having to be the front person of that band at his age. Brian Johnson's got 6-7 years on Geddy Lee. And he is still up there doing it on way bigger stages, moving around way more, singing AC/DC. It's crazy. And of course, we know Brian had the hearing stuff go on, which clearly is behind him as well. It's remarkable to see. It's wonderful to see. And look, I don't know where this goes from here. Because, just like we've seen Guns N' Roses touring now for 10 years, essentially doing the same show. They're Guns N' Roses. They've also crossed into that pop culture, ultra mainstream world where they can keep doing that. So can AC/DC do that? Absolutely, if they wanted to. The problem and the big difference is, again, Axl is 60 whatever. Brian Johnson's soon to be 79. I cannot envision Brian Johnson in his 80s doing this. But then again, he looks great, and he's only a year removed from being 80, and he's doing it more than respectably right now. But, Mick Jagger, who is the benchmark, who I believe is 83, Mick Jagger they're talking about maybe doing shows next year. That's the ultimate freak of freak. But still, the way Mick sings and the Stones, who are also on football stages, different vocal approach. Brian Johnson's got to scream out Back in Black and Shoot to Thrill and, Let There Be Rock and Riff Raff. I mean, I don't know how that's a whole different register of singing. That's why I'm saying it's so crazy what he's able to do now. But I don't know, there's been some rumblings and some people have sent me this that they're on AC/DC mailing lists for tickets or whatever, and they had gotten this email that said, "Come see us Power Up for the last time." And more than one listener has sent me those screen grabs asking, does this mean it's over and this is a farewell? And the answer is, I don't know, because you can take that one of two ways. You can take that as this is the last time they're touring, branded as the Power Up Tour, or this is the last time they're touring and they're done. Angus is only 71. But the problem is his singer is almost 79. And even though his singer is still, as I've just raved, remarkable at what he's doing, it's just going to be, you're going to hit the wall here. So if Angus wants to keep this going, he's got to figure this out. You know, I mean, do they put out AC/DC with another singer? Can they get a few more years out of Brian? I don't know. The idea of AC/DC with another singer is insane to me. Obviously, we saw it briefly with Axl Rose in that situation that took place a few years back. But would they ever go down that road again? I'm not saying with Axl, but with somebody else. I don't know. I don't see that. I don't think it makes sense. It would seem crazy to me. But again, the idea of Rush touring without Neil Peart is mind-bogglingly crazy, and look what's happening. So there is precedent for all of these situations where we have seen the unthinkable and fans flock and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars still to go. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the idea of Kiss with two people dressed as Ace and Peter was so mind-blowingly crazy to me, I couldn't even process it. I didn't go, but people did go. So anything is possible, but in the here and now, you still have one of the most iconic bands in rock history, still pulling stadium crowds, still doing 2-hour shows, still all live, and still doing a more than respectable job delivering this, and not walking out of there feeling like, holy shit, those guys were old feeling. It's AC/DC. It's still super, super good. And I don't know what the runway ahead is. I don't know what they're going to do. Every time I went, when I went to see AC/DC last year, I was like, well, that'll probably be the last time I ever see him. Here we are back a year later. I just saw him again 2 nights ago. So who knows? I could be talking to you a year from now. Hey, I went to see AC/DC again in Vegas at the stadium. I mean, I don't know. But if you're going, enjoy. And they are as powerful as ever and still bringing it. And nothing to complain about. Now, last thing on the show, you probably saw this online. Brian Johnson almost, God forbid, had a serious injury happen to him. This is crazy, and somebody's probably just lost their job on that AC/DC tour right now. Because as you know, the last song of AC/DC shows is historically For Those About to Rock. And it was, once again, on Saturday. And they bring out the cannons and the whole fire, and they fire the cannons. It's been captured on video, and it's out there for you to see, but Brian was standing under one of the cannons, and the cannon dropped, and what looked like the charge in the cannon fell out and only missed hitting him on the head by looked like a few inches. Now, I don't know exactly what it was that fell out of the cannon, but I mean, it looked like it was, because those things have a charge in them for the pyrotechnic when they fire them. And it looked like it was probably that. But the whole nose of the cannon just drops. And then whatever was in the cannon, I'm pretty sure it was the charge, fell out on a string and just narrowly missed him. So not only was that scary, but when the front of the cannon drops, if that whole cannon fell off the front, I got to think that the cannon itself had to be anchored because when it fires. But God forbid if that thing fell, it could have killed him. So there was a major mishap at the very end of AC/DC in Vegas on Saturday that, thank God, just missed Brian Johnson. But whoever's in charge of setting that up, I would probably suspect does not have a job today. Because that, you are putting, I've talked about this before, and I spend a lot of time on stages, as you guys know, from, just hosting things for the last 43 years. Stages from every level, clubs to stadiums I've been on. Just on huge stages in Brazil a few months ago. I'll be on another huge stage Labor Day weekend at Rocklahoma when I host that. But whatever the stage is, you are putting so much faith into the people who set that stage up. If it's not a permanent structure, and a lot of stages are not, you're putting a ton of faith into the people who assemble that stage and break it down. You're putting a ton of faith and trust into the people that hang the stuff above you. If you ever walk out onto a stage for a concert, look up. Nobody ever looks up. Look up. Above you are tons of trusses and lights and metal and steel and things hanging from you, hanging above you. Whoever installed all that, you're basically entrusting them with your life. Because if you're on a big stage and a major piece of staging or a light drops and hits you on your head, you're probably dead. So it's a lot of trust in those people who do that work on these tours. And I don't know what happened with that cannon, but that was a pretty close call. So there's my report on AC/DC. We can talk about it more if you want. The merch, needless to say, is insane. I got to think AC/DC, probably AC/DC versus Metallica would be a great throwdown for the battle of merch sales. Both bands have iconic logos. Both bands sell an insane amount of merch. Both bands, when you go, you hardly see anybody not wearing one of their shirts. It's crazy. I can't imagine the money being made on merch. And AC/DC, also like Metallica and other huge bands, are setting up these pop-up stores in the towns they're playing a day before the concert. So you can go to the pop-up store, buy all your merch, and you don't have to carry it around at the concert, and you can put it in your room or wear it by getting it a day or two early. Here in Vegas, they did it at the Hard Rock on the Strip. They even had a private showing of it for media the day before. I was invited. I could not go because I had a conflict. But the merch lines, they even had I never saw this before. They had a merch stand, it looked like, set up on the floor of the concert while the Pretty Reckless were playing. People lined up. Almost everybody in the stadium wearing those flashing red horns. Which, by the way, I found out they only charge $25 for. They could probably get $50 for those. Now they probably pay $1 for them. So they're still making $24 a head. And when you see probably if there's 50,000 people in the stadium, 40,000 people are wearing the things, do that math. The amount of money is staggering when you consider what they're making on these things. But again, it's the music business. So there's plenty of merch out there as well. And most of these cities, they are doing these pop-up shops. So you have all the opportunity to buy if you are so inclined. All right, so there's my AC/DC report. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you guys who maybe saw them already or are going to see them on upcoming shows. I believe they're going into Canada for a few shows and back into the U.S. I don't have all the dates in front of me, but Joel, take a look for me. Let me know how many dates they have left in the U.S. or North America for that matter on this run, because I didn't look at the routing and where they're going and how much more they have left to do. But I'm pretty sure Vegas Saturday was pretty early in this run. And same deal. They're only playing like 2 shows a week because they need the rest.
Yeah, just pulling it up. It looks like next up San Francisco, then up to Canada for a couple, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 4 in the U.S., then back to Canada, back to the U.S. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 or 14 shows left.
Where is the last show?
The last show is Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field on September 29th.
And is there anything on their itinerary after that?
No.
Okay, so look, is Philadelphia the last ever AC/DC show? I mean, currently scheduled, yes. I can't imagine if they were ending, they wouldn't end in probably Australia, but I don't know. When you're dealing with a band of this age, you just don't know. But again, Angus, when you talk about the age factor, Angus is still relatively young. And the supporting band that they have right now is relatively young. You know, the drummer and the bass player are probably 50s, early 60s. And Stevie Young is probably 60s. So the real question mark here, I think, for the overall future of the band is how much longer can Brian Johnson keep doing this? I really think that's really what it comes down to, because he's got 8 years on Angus. And the whole thing is marketed on Angus. You notice that. I mean, the whole band is marketed Angus now. With Brian also prominent, but it's all, of course there's shirts with Angus only on. Angus is the focal point. So knowing that, if Brian wasn't able to do more or couldn't do more, are you guys accepting AC/DC with another singer? I don't know. I would say it's crazy and they should know when to say when, but we're not there yet as Brian continues to defy the odds here. It's mind-blowing. That was my biggest takeaway coming out of that stadium Saturday. I was like, crazy. And I'm going to try to call Brian Johnson just to tell him this. I'm not asking for anything or whatever, but because I do know him. And just tell him, because he never, if you know Brian, he never really thinks much of what he does, So I don't know how much enforcement he gets like that from people. I'm sure he does, but it's crazy. All right, so anyway, there's AC/DC and still some more life left in the tank here, and we'll see where it goes from here. And still plenty of opportunities in Canada or America to see them, and I'm sure we'll be getting more calls as we go.
More talk on all things rock after this.
It's Trunk Nation
With host Eddie Trunk.
And now an update on all things rock.
From the feuds and the reunions, lawsuits and payoffs.
We're talking about it.
Trunk Nation
With Eddie Trunk.
All right, we've just been catching up a little bit off the air here about music in general, as we do. But it's a pleasure to welcome back to the program from Guns N' Roses, Mr. Duff McKagan. Duff, how are you, buddy?
Eddie's giving me some. I'm doing good. Ed's giving me some new rock record tips.
You getting ready for the next radio show?
I got it. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing like the new Jack White record's really stinky. It's great, really, really good. Slash and I've been talking about that one. I played like some band. They're called No Bro. They're from Canada. They just won I'm in Canada right now. They just won a Juno Award, and they won for the best rock record. So I checked it out, and they're cool. You know, I kind of do that when I'm on the road, like some guy I'm working out next to. Oh, my granddaughter plays in this band called No Bro. They just won a Juno Award. I'm like, okay, I'll check them out. And
that's
so
it.
if you're next to me,
yeah, that's how people discover music now for the most part. It's a lot of word of mouth, and people ask, because there's so much of it out there, right? And you need to hear from other people, whether it's your radio show, my radio show, people just talking next to each other to Jim, hey, check this out, whatever. I was in a Planet Fitness, and I saw stuff come up on their feed on the screen, and that's how I discovered Aaron Jones. Have you ever heard Aaron Jones?
I heard of Aaron Jones.
Oh, you know,
man.
Seattle guy.
Yeah. He's magical, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had him open up back in like that first run we did, 2016. Aaron played a gig with us in outside of Seattle at the Gorge. But he's really kind of a magical talent.
Yeah.
And you know, he had a record that kind of hit a couple of years ago. He got some radio play, and now he's working on a new one, and he's very talented.
Yeah, I forgot the Seattle connection, so of course you would know him.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, man, I know we got limited time here with you today, but I wanted to, I was actually seeing AC/DC on Saturday in Vegas, and your manager, Brian, hit me up because he knew I was there, and we were texting. We weren't near each other. We were texting, and we were talking about the AC/DC show, and then he goes, maybe Duff should come on and, say hello. I go, of course, anytime. So here we are, and you're in America. Well, actually, you're in Canada right now. You're playing Toronto tomorrow. How's this whole thing been going, man? A big run of Canada and America coming up here for GNR.
I gotta say, I don't really know how to articulate this, but we went to Brazil for 5 weeks, just Brazil. Well, no, we played Mexico City. We played a big show there, and then down to Sao Paulo, and then all Brazil. And we played 4 or 5 cities that never had international bands there. No Stones, no anybody. And they have soccer stadiums because the World Cup was there. And there's these kind of old soccer stadiums everywhere. And we went and played these places, and it was so cool. And the people were really appreciative of us coming there, Then we went to Europe, and we always do sound check. And I look up at the big place we're playing, and I see, it's empty, of course, when you're doing sound check. And I'm like, it's raining out, I hope people show up. And then you come out and play, and it's packed. And I'm just really I do kind of a meditation before we play every night, kind of just bringing everything together. And you see from my vantage point, it's like looking at the crowd, and you see people the songs really affect them, whether it's November Rain, they got married to it, or you see people crying or elated and all that. And it's a lot of energy to take in. So I kind of do a meditation just to measure myself and be cool and be the best I can be. So Europe was great. And we started the US in Raleigh, North Carolina, a couple weeks ago now, I guess. We played Hershey, we always play Hershey. And that was great. We played, where have we been? Chicago. We played the Tinley Park thing. Lollapalooza was happening. So there's a lot going on there. And tonight in Toronto, Foo Fighters are playing the same venue. They're playing tonight. We're playing tomorrow. And Chris Stapleton's playing on Thursday. So it's a lot of rock and roll here
in Toronto. Yeah. Hey, Duff, I was at the show in Sao Paulo. We didn't see each other.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
was
right.
there
You were.
because I actually hosted that thing. It was called Monsters of Rock, and I saw Fernando, who manages the band. We talked for a little bit, but you guys, I don't know if you were there yet, but I was walking up and down the hallway. We never saw each other, but we were texting, and I was there, and I'll tell you, man, I couldn't believe, to your point, people in that part of the world, they are so appreciative when bands go there and the reaction. And I went out in the house and watched you guys play, and it was the first time I saw you play with Isaac, and it was incredible, man. And the vibe in that crowd, And that audience is just, as you know, unbelievable there as well.
Yeah, no, it really is. And when you go to in Brazil, when you get up into like the Amazon and all the coastal cities where nobody goes and plays besides Rio and Sao Paulo, they kind of feel like they get left out. They always have to go to Sao Paulo to see a band or to Rio, and so going up to these other places, and like it was like Sao Paulo, but their first time in their hometown, and they were so proud. And sometimes the police didn't have it together. The traffic coming in sometimes was a mess, but it was kind of cute. They just didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, well, I had to get out of there. I couldn't stay till the end of the show because the promoter's like, your vehicle's leaving now and you have to go, because if you don't, you're going to be here till very late. So I got out, before the end, so I couldn't stay till the very end, but it was incredible. Let's talk about these U.S. dates now and the stuff in North America, because you've got speaking of other bands, you've got different opening acts on all the dates. This is kind of the norm. It's a very eclectic mix of different bands. So depending upon which shows you're going to out there, you might see the Black Crowes, you might see Public Enemy. So there's a little bit of everything. But Duff, for you, and I was just talking about this before you came on the air, and I don't know if you remember this, but it's now 10 years since you and Slash have been back with Guns. And I was at the very first show you guys played at T-Mobile here in Vegas. And I remember we ran into each other in the hallway in the hotel, and you pulled me aside, and that's when you said to me, hey, so Axl's going to be in a chair tonight. And I go, what? And you go, because nobody knew he had broken his leg. And Dave Grohl was there, and he brought the throne, and that's how it all started 10 years ago. Talk a little bit about this incredible journey from there to where we are 10 years later.
Yeah, so we played the Troubadour, that April Fool's joke, or April Fool's Day gig. Are we going to play or not? And we rehearsed for like 3 months. We in secret. I think at that point we had announced we were doing Coachella, right? But this gig, who knows if we're going to play or not? And we knew we were going to play. But we get up on that old stage at Troubadour, and we have the monitors and stuff. And Axl gets up on a monitor. I think it was like the second song, and he slipped off of it. It wasn't something we were used to. It was, at rehearsal we had different whatever, and he slipped off. And he goes on to us. We have like these in-ears, and he can talk to us sometimes. I think I broke my foot. And he played the rest of the show. Yeah, it's broken. Okay. And after the show, he goes straight to the Cedars Hospital, which is right down the street. He broke his foot, broke it in like a few places, got some pins put into it. And he's like, I don't want to cancel anything. I'm trying to figure out how to sing sitting down, which, for that kind of music, singing sitting down is a really tough thing to do. And to sing sitting down, being Axl and singing that stuff is a feat. It's an athletic feat. And so, he sang in a chair like at rehearsal, and he's like, well, I think I can do it, but I don't want to sit in a chair. Just a chair, it looks kind of lame. And so, the idea of Grohl and that he had just broke his leg and had that amazing throne. And so they drove it out from LA, I think day of show, right? And there was no instructions how to put it together. It's like, just, okay. So our crew had to figure out how to put that big old throne together piece by piece. And we did all that stuff. And he went out and did AC/DC. During that time, he's like, man, I've got this opportunity. It's been, like a dream come true to go and sing with my favorite band. We're like, go do it, man. Me and Slash jam with all kinds of people, So that was cool.
He told me, Duff, he told me that night. That was Axl. I talked to Axl after the show. There's a photo of him in a wheelchair and me talking, and I will never forget this. He pulled me in. He comes like this, and he goes, what? And because at that time it was rumored he was doing AC/DC.
Right.
And he pulls me out and he goes, I'm actually singing with AC/DC. I go, and I'm like, and he goes, because the idea of him launching something like that with the whole GNR thing going on, I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, don't say anything. He goes, but he goes, I'm going to actually do it. And he was telling me how difficult it is to like sing Shoot to Thrill. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like dumbfounded that he was actually doing it. And he did it amazingly well, of course. But when you think about that and everything that's happened leading to this, you know, I think for me, the most incredible thing about this last 10 years of this and where you're at now is just how smoothly it's all gone. Like, you guys go on. It's like clockwork. It seems almost un-Guns N' Roses and how incredibly smooth it's been for 10 years.
Well, the thing that is Guns N' Roses is that we never play the same set. So we're on the edge of our seat. You know, we right now we're starting with Welcome to the Jungle. We know that's going to happen. We know at some point in the evening we're going to probably end with Paradise City. In between those two things, it could be anything. And so that's very Guns N' Roses. Like, but it makes for we're on the edge of our seat, you know, kind of as players, and I think that just makes for a much more exciting show. We're not going through a set list. You know, okay, we're going to play the next 4 and the guitars are set up and ready to go. No, it's not like that. So, but it's been smooth. It's never not real, Ed. You know, none of us would know how to phone it in. You know, there's no such thing. Axl going from that, as you said, the wheelchair to going to AC/DC to doing all these shows. He's really, I mean, you know, when he went and tried out for AC/DC, I'm going to go try out for they've got these, 2 months of shows or whatever it was. And Slash and I like, you think you're going to have to try out? Yeah, there's some other guys I got. I'm like, dude, you got the gig. No, so he flew to Atlanta. He tried out. It was really kind of cute, you know. And we knew he was going to get the gig, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The shows have been great. Doing America again. We haven't been here. It seems we keep going around the world, man. I can't remember when we were in America last. A couple years ago. Probably. Yeah. But we played a bunch of really amazing shows. We played India, we played first rock band, we played Saudi Arabia last year. So that was a crowd that they're trying to really open it up. So they've had boxing, which is men without shirts, which is a big, barrier for them to cross. And they had I think Macklemore, and they had a festival. And then Chappelle and Bill Burr, they had comedy.
Comedy, right.
And then they asked us to be the first rock band. And they really kind of been opening things up, like letting women drive. Like, we wouldn't go probably 7 years ago, just because there's some things like, now we can't really do that. But they're really trying. And to ask us to be the first rock band, we said, we're not going to, our subject matter of our songs and the band is everything that's illegal. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, basically. And we're not going to change our show, and it was really to see people. It was their first rock show ever. They didn't really know how to act. It was just kids, like everywhere else in the world. Just kids, really. Record stores have opened up there about a year and a half ago. So they're just buying records and hanging out at record stores and really into it. So, so to experience what we've experienced in the last 10 or 11 years, it's great. And experience it with these guys, Axl and Slash and I, we came up together in this thing, and it's really pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, man, I know that I know you got to go because, again, they told me limited time here. I just wanted to ask you real quickly, you've got these dates now that go throughout the year. in America, Canada. I think you're going to New Zealand, Australia. So 26 is pretty much locked out. We know that in 27, Slash is going to put out a record. We know you've done some great stuff solo. Can you give any insights on whether what's happening with Guns or with you with your own side stuff for next year? Have you thought about that?
Well, I mean, we've worked on new stuff, and which is pretty cool. Like, so there's going to be something with that for sure. I'm going to put out a record. I have my own studio now, Ed, which is just dangerous. You know, got it right before COVID. I always have my acoustic guitar. I'm always writing songs. So I have like 80 songs. I'll put something out next year. I don't tour a ton. I don't tour like Slash. Slash goes out and we do the world like 4 times over with Guns, and then Slash goes and does a world tour. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. He's a workaholic beyond belief. As a matter of fact, ironically, I woke up to a text from him today just saying hello, and he goes, "What's going on?" And I go, "I just got up. I'm just going in Vegas." I said, "I'm getting ready to talk to Duff." He goes, "Oh shit, you got Duff on today." He goes, "That's ironic." I said, "Yeah." So he's always on. The guy is always on. It's incredible.
No, he is. Yeah, you know, to be on that stage and see those two guys, you know, my two partners or whatever, how hard they work. It's really, and it's been this way for 40 years, you know, it's like, it kicks you in the ass, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyhow, yeah, we're doing the thing. We'll be in New York, you know, next week, and Vegas. We're coming to Vegas.
Unfortunately, I'm not here when you come, but I'm going to miss that one. But I'll catch you somewhere on this run because there's a good amount of dates. I looked at them on the schedule. So you're here in the U.S. and North America now for a little while. So definitely everybody get out there and get to the website, find a date near you. And if people are in Toronto tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Toronto.
Hey, buddy.
Rogers Center.
Yeah. I wish we had more time with you, but you know where to get me anytime you need anything. And say hi to everybody and travel safe out there and have a good rest of the run this year.
Thanks, Ed. Will do.
All right. Thank you, buddy. There's Duff McKagan checking in with us live here on Trunk Nation. We got to let him go, and we appreciate a few minutes with him checking in from the road. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after this.
More Trunk Nation and all things rock up next with Eddie Trunk.
This is Faction Talk on Sirius XM.
Home of Trunk Nation.
Where the conversation is all things rock.
Now, Eddie Trunk.
Come on!
All right, it's Eddie Trunk, Trunk Nation on Faction Talk 103 and the Sirius XM app, talking rock music. Last I saw these guys, it was late at night at the Hard Rock in Tulsa a few years ago following a performance at Rocklahoma. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, because we all had a few in us at that point. But
I remember.
Yep, we were just talking
Troy
about
and
that.
Braun, I think it was me, Troy and Braun. We were hanging right down by the slot machines there.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, we closed it down.
We did.
I was like, "There's Eddie the Trunk." There he is.
Stay away from the slot machine.
Well, joining us now from Mastodon on the show is Bill, Troy, and Braun. And guys, congratulations on the new album. I've heard a few of the tracks. It sounds absolutely killer. And it is coming out on August 28th called Marrow Deep. And I know this was quite an odyssey for you guys to get to making this record. So who wants to, give us the backstory on it? I mean, there's a lot to dig into here, and we don't have a ton of time. But, Braun, do you want to start with this as to, how this all came together? And obviously the first album without Brent being on board and what this whole experience has been like to get it to this point?
Yeah, obviously we didn't want the album to be about what it's about, and we would take all the songs and all the lyrics back if we could have our people back, but that's not the situation. So we started really writing for this record maybe a couple of years ago, and then we interrupted that writing to go on the Leviathan anniversary tour with Lamb of God around the States, and around the end of that tour, we decided, okay, we're going to hunker down and really start writing. And that's where we experienced some turmoil with our brother Brent. And I unfortunately lost my mother, and we were kind of working away on stuff, and it was tough. But then we went to Europe for a summer tour. We were diligently working on the material, getting it ready to go into the studio in September, and unfortunately, another tragedy. We lost Brent at the end of August, but we still had to go into the studio in about a week after losing Brent, and kind of thought that maybe it was not the best idea. We weren't sure, but it ended up being exactly what we needed to kind of go in there and lean on each other and just dig in on these songs and put every little bit of all of these couple of tragedies that unfortunately visited us into the music, into the lyrics, into everything about it, and to just power through and like I said, lean on each other to get through and come out the other side with this album that we're all very proud of, but it is very emotional for us.
I'm curious, and again, I'll just kind of direct questions to everybody so we get everybody involved, and if everybody wants to chime in at the end. But Brann, I'll come back to you on this. I was wondering, is Brent contributing to this? Because you guys have been working on this record, obviously. It's been a while since the last record. I don't know if you were working on it previous to his death or even previous to his departure from the band, but are there any writing ideas or even any performances where he actually appears on the new record?
Unfortunately not. You know, he just really for the last few records, you know, we would try to get him to come down and contribute, you know, but he was just kind of off doing his thing, you know. He's riding his motorcycle around, and but we would always keep writing, you know, and we would text him, or I'd call him and say, hey, we're going to be down there at the space. We're going to be writing, so just letting you know. And if you want to get down there with us and get your hands dirty, you know, more than welcome. We want you to be more involved. But, you know, he had a lot going on in his life as well. And he was going through some things personally that were tough. And so we understood that, and we were just giving him as much grace as we could, you know, and just always leaving the door open. But also, we are three creative people that the faucet just doesn't turn off. And so I just wanted to be like, hey man, we're gonna keep on writing, and we're very excited for you to get in on this stuff, and, you know, always left that door open. But unfortunately, for the last bunch of months of touring, and while we were working on the skeletons of the songs that became Marrow Deep, he just was kind of nowhere to be found within those writing sessions, and as a result, we don't have any material from him that is on the new record. So it's solely the three of us kind of creating everything from the ground up, and then getting the new members involved towards the end to sort of quote unquote punch up the songs that existed and really get them to be as good as they possibly could be, with some fresh and new energy with Zhuang and Nick Johnston on guitar.
Troy, you guys did something that I think was incredible, and I've watched twice, and I've directed my audience to check it out as well if they haven't. But you guys did a short documentary, which people can see on YouTube and on the Mastodon website, called Mastodon in the Room, about Brent's death, and about, for people that don't remember the whole timeline, I think most do, he had actually left the band previous and then passed away in this motorcycle accident a few months later. But you guys did a very, I thought, very honest, real documentary about him and the relationship of him in the band, and really transparent about the challenges and the ups and downs, that I thought was incredibly brave and great that you did that, to kind of really show everything that went on there. Can you talk about, you know, the idea to do that and why you decided to do that at the time that you did?
Sure. It was a documentary that we did not want to make, but we felt it was important that it had been about 1.5 years since separating with Brent in the band. And Bill, Braun, and myself never really spoke about it except for amongst ourselves. And then time was going by, and we were dealing with everything else and traveling and starting to work on new music. But as we were gearing up for a new record to come out, we realized that we haven't said anything to anyone. And we have a lot of fans out there that we felt were wondering what's going on with the band. Is there dysfunction? Are they moving forward? Like, what's going on? We haven't heard a word. And we felt not only do we want to respect our fans and give them some information, but we also wanted to kind of come out, say what we needed to say in a hopefully tasteful and respectful way. Get that out there so we could kind of just put it in the universe, put it into our fans, let everyone watch it, read into it, and hopefully bring some type of closure because it helped us. And then we could move forward and celebrate the soon-to-be-released record, Marrow Deep, that we've been working very hard on for the past couple of years. So, again, we just felt it was important to say what we needed to say and kind of get it out of our bodies and out into the universe and kind of make peace with that and then be able to move forward and celebrate as we move forward.
Anything, Bill or Braun, you want to add about the doc? Because then the thing that I took away from it was, yeah, it's very respectful, but it's also very real and very honest. And I don't think a lot of fans really understand how challenging it is for people to be in a band and travel and everything and have somebody that is not all there or is presenting challenges or having issues with sobriety or whatever it may be, where it's disrupting the band. I mean, you guys with that doc, I felt really kind of pulled back the curtain on some of this and were very revealing about it. And again, I think you did it in a very tasteful way, but you were very honest about what you dealt with.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's it's a 25-year relationship, and I mean, none of us are angels, obviously, and it was a question where we knew that he wasn't going to be here to defend himself or anything, and I don't feel like we really didn't want to throw him under the bus or anything, but we felt it was necessary to tell our side of the story for the fans, because they were kind of wondering what is going on with these guys. They haven't said a word to us, and Brent had some pretty not nice things to say about them in the press, and we never responded, and so we felt it was necessary for us all to move forward, but we also wanted to celebrate him and the really beautiful artist that he was, and celebrate our brotherhood and put that all on display, but also show that that things don't always go the way you want them to go, and you can't force people to deal with their demons or anything like that. But that was also part of it with him. He was a very complicated, complex human being, but an incredible musician and an incredible friend to us. We loved the guy. We all loved each other. No matter what he said, we knew that that he loved us, and we loved him, and we wanted nothing but the best for him. We wanted him to be safe and happy and ripping guitar and jumping around on stage. But, it's just not like that sometimes. as much as we desired it, for him. And it's just really, really, really unfortunate the way that it turned out, that we didn't get to have that closure. We didn't get to have that hug and that kiss on the cheek and love you, dude, because we desperately wanted that, and we were robbed of that, so it was an important conversation for us to have, for us and for our fans, to try to build some kind of pathway towards whatever closure is. And I think that it provided that.
Yeah, for people who haven't seen it, the three of you are sitting in a movie theater and you're watching this footage from the beginning right through, this kind of chronological footage. Bill, were you guys aware of what was coming up on that screen? Because one of the really cool things about the doc that was so moving is the cutaways to your faces when you see some of this old footage and the smiles and the laughs, and you're like, yeah, I was a dick there. He was a dick there. I mean, I thought that was really, really cool the way it was done. Who kind of had the idea to do that process and kind of reveal this footage to you guys and get your reactions?
Well, no, I wasn't really aware of what was about to come up, and it was hard. It was really hard to watch. I mean, inside I was bawling, you know what I mean? I was trying to keep my composure, and I was, it was, a lot of it was from the Workhorse Chronicles and just early footage. And I'd seen it obviously way back when, 20 some years ago when we when we made it, and just about every scene I saw, I remembered that moment in time, and it was hard because it was really easy to see. I remember that guy. There's the happy Brent when he was full of life and just enjoyed what we were doing. And like Brann said, it's like being married to someone and sleeping in the same bed with them for 25 years. You love them, but you can't stand them sometimes. And it's just life. It's just how it goes. Or you just don't want to, like for him, I don't think his heart was in it anymore towards the end. And you kind of can see it, you know what I mean? And that's okay. Like we're all friends at the end of the day. We just wanted what was best for everyone, of course. And just it was hard to watch the kind of decline and the happy times. But I thought, if there's something I could say to him today, I would just be like, dude, just remember the happy times and all that we have accomplished in our lifetimes. Like, who would have thought? All the great challenges and everything all the great bands we toured with, and just all the good moments, And I think it was kind of everyone's idea, management and the band, to put out some kind. There's a lot of questions out there. And we had never said anything. It's very slippery slope when you get on to the internet and you try to put out all these little fires of people talking shit about what they think.
You can say it, yeah, and that's insane.
I spelled it for those youngsters out there who don't know how to spell.
But you're right. That's like playing whack-a-mole. You'd go crazy.
You can't do it. I learned.
You can't.
I learned that a long, long time ago. To argue with someone on the internet, a faceless commenter or whatever, is you're falling into their trap. So I 100%. Felt like we did. I was very unsure, and I just wanted to do it professionally, collectively with everybody on the same page, and kind of just put out this closure, like Brann said. And I feel like it was hard as hell to watch that stuff and to say what we said, but I feel like the fans deserved the truth, and we had to tell our side of the story. I know Brent wasn't there to defend himself or anything, but I don't feel like we threw him under the bus. I just feel like we love the guy, like Brann said. We all did. We tried to help him as much as we could. We all need help. You know what I mean? We're all brothers in this thing. And for a band to be together for almost 26 years, the same four guys, is not an easy. It's like I said earlier, it's a marriage. Sleeping in the same bed, even if you hate the person, sometimes you're like, I'm still married to them. I gotta sleep in the bed next to them. I just feel like we did it to quell all the mystery of like what happened there. What the guy quit and then he got killed, and like what happened? Like what is it? Why isn't the band saying anything? So management and we all put together this idea to like an offensive strike. Like, here you go. Before the record comes out, just well timed. Like before the rumors and all the bullshit starts flying around, let's do something honest and emotional and from the heart, because that's how we always like to operate. That's the only way to do things the right way. So yeah.
Troy, anything you want to add on this? I mean, there's just before, want to talk about the upcoming tour, and of course, the album again is out on August 28th called Marrow Deep. But anything you want to add about the doc? I mean, there's a powerful moment in there where you say, you were the one that just said, "Hey, we gotta call a meeting here and figure this out. Otherwise, you were going to split." And there's also, to Bill's point, funny thing too, where you guys said early on, no one's allowed to ever quit this band. So you're trying to keep it together, but you knew it wasn't going to. And then Troy, you actually have a moment in the doc where you're like, "Yeah, we gotta have basically call a meeting here and end this."
Yeah, and that was one of many, many, many meetings over the past 10 years, unfortunately, but the bottom line was we were just, we had kind of exhausted ourselves trying to be the best friends possible and encouraging paths of help and healthiness, which leads to hopefully happiness. And it just got to a point where we couldn't do it any longer, and that storm was brewing, and it was going to come straight after us. And we just had to, the three of us got together and had to have a final band meeting. And it was just really unfortunate that after 32 years of friendship, 25 years of Mastodon, that, that he just didn't want to hear those words and just walked out of the room. And I was never able to see him again and give him that one of the thousands of hugs and kisses that we've shared over the years. Because but the good times outweighed the bad times, and we're just. I ultimately, in one sentence, I could just say I'm so grateful to have shared a friendship and thousands of stages with him around the world, and he made me a broader, better person from a perspective view, and he changed my life for the better. So yeah.
Yeah. Guys, I know I only have a few minutes left with you before you got to go on and do other things. Troy, why don't you tell us about the tour? Again, we know Marrow Deep comes out August 28th. The tour starts September 16th in Orlando and runs through October 24th in Texas. It's a headlining run. You guys got a good, when you factor in the new record and then the rest of the catalog and now these key songs you've got to do from the catalog, I'm imagining with each record it's getting harder to kind of put together a set and figure out what you are and aren't going to play. Have you tackled that? I imagine you've got it pretty much down at this point, what you're going to do.
Yeah, we do. For the most part, it's a great issue to have when we have 10 albums or so and over 100 songs, and we're saying, hey, we're going to do maybe a 90-minute set, so we need like 17 songs out of over 100. We don't really butt heads, but we have good conversations about what we'd like to play, what we're super happy about and in love with at the moment, and so that conversation's happening now. But it's fun to have because we're looking forward to this headlining run, which we haven't done in several years. So I'm thrilled about it, and I think I speak for all five of us in the band. Where it's very exciting. It's kind of been a long time coming, and we're super excited to play a whole bunch of new songs. And we always enjoy sprinkling in something from every record of our discography. So I'm just really it's just this celebration to put this record out in a couple weeks means the world to us, and then we really kind of move forward and head out towards that sunset, and have enjoy this and appreciate it. And so I'm thrilled to go on tour, and I cannot wait.
And when you mentioned all five of us, again, you kind of touched on this. Your new guitar player is Nick Johnston, who is on the record, right? He does contribute on the record.
Yeah, all five of us contributed a lot to this record, and our keyboard player João Nogueira, he's been touring with us for 5 years, and he was very integral on a lot of the beautiful sounds and textures and songwriting on this new album. And Nick Johnston's been with us for nearly 2 years, and we've done several tours around the States and overseas. And he's just a wonderful human being, and he's even a better guitar player. And he's just amazing, and he's just really, the two of them now as a five-piece, we just have this really incredible fresh perspective and this rejuvenation that feels amazing. And that's the main reason I'm excited about going on tour, is to play an hour and a half worth of songs with these guys every single night.
Last thing, and I'll let you go on this. I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys since this happened, but we just went past the year anniversary of Back to the Beginning. And for those that tuned in early, you guys actually opened that incredibly historic event in tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath. I don't know which one of you guys wants to take this, but what was that like, opening that thing that day and being a part of that?
This is Brian. That was amazing, man. It's probably greatest one of the greatest moments of my life, walking out on that stage. I couldn't even believe that they asked us. I think it was the fastest email response that our management ever got in the history of our band. 0.2 seconds, I think it was, for all members to be like, yes, what is that really happening? And so fantasizing about what it was going to be like was a exercise in futility, because walking out on that stage, I never felt anything like it. It passed nervousness into some kind of euphoria, and just sitting there playing the first song, I remember just saying to myself, calm the fuck down, get through this first song. So, because I was singing Supernaut, and I had all my lyrics written down in Sharpie on my snare drum, because I was like, I'm gonna forget all the fucking lyrics. There's no way. I'm not planning for it, but I can totally see a world where my mind goes zaps blank and I can't remember any of the words of Supernaut. So I made sure they're written down on my snare drum. And I thought we did awesome, and it just was such an amazing, beautiful outpouring of love and appreciation for Sabbath and Ozzy and everything that they gave to us. I mean, they gave us our medium for being creative in music. They made heavy metal for us. You know, they built our tribe. So and you could see all the other bands from Metallica to Pantera to Slayer. Everybody was on the same playing field. You know, we were just there to honor the gods, Black Sabbath and Ozzy being, you know, the really the focal point, you know. And it was pretty awesome. We played for 15 minutes, and then boom, I had a beer and I was in the front row, and I was just rocking out for the rest of the show, having the time of my life. And then I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, Ozzy hasn't even played yet. Like, Ozzy's gonna play, Sabbath is gonna play. You know what I mean? And when Ozzy came up out of the ground on his out of the ground, up out of the stage on his throne, I mean, everybody just started bawling and hugging, and it was just such an incredible. I never experienced anything like it. It just was so beautiful, and I don't think anybody else could pull it off except for Ozzy. And I mean, no one saw what was coming, but man, what a way to go out. That's insane. Like it was just really beautiful, and just kudos to, and I'm so proud. I was so proud to be a metalhead, you know, walking around Birmingham the day before, having Sabbath being blaring out of all the pubs, all the people in their battle vests just lining the streets, trying to, you know, standing in line to sit in the Sabbath bench, and the whole city just embracing Sabbath the way that they did in Ozzy. And I never felt prouder to be a metalhead, to be honest. Everybody was just so awesome, and it was just such a special event, and so happy that we got to be a part of it. I'm still, you know, think about it just about every day. It was amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know I got to let you go. I kept you already too long. They're going to yell at me, but it's always good to catch up with you. And congratulations on the new record. From what I've heard, it sounds amazing. 2 tracks out already. Everybody can check out August 28th, the release date for Marrow Deep, and the tour starting September 16th in Orlando for Mastodon. You guys, congrats and condolences on everything that's gone on. And it's amazing how you keep coming out the other side with these incredible pieces of music. And I appreciate you taking some time with me today.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Eddie. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
See you soon.
Man.
See ya. There's Mastodon, everybody checking in with us here on Trunk Nation. Appreciate some time with them. Again, check out the new album and check out the music video out there as well on Snakes for Dinner. Really wild, really cool stuff. And again, the album coming out at the end of the month.
You're listening to Trunk Nation, talking all things rock with host Eddie Trunk. Sirius XM's Faction Talk. Now back to talking all things rock.
From band gossip to gear and everything in between.
Rolling, baby. Trunk Nation.
Sirius XM's know what time it is. Faction Talk.
Well, I didn't expect during the commercial break to be talking with my friend Billy Morrison, who is British, about football. And when I thought he was going to bring up football, I thought he was going to bring up soccer. But no, Billy just revealed to me during the commercial break he is indeed a fan of American football. Billy, how you doing, buddy?
Eddie, thank you for having me. And I am indeed. I call it football because that's what it's called. It's soccer over there. Right. You know. And look, it came from a misspent early 20s in England, and the only thing on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning was NFL, and I became a Raiders fan for my sins, and here we are, decades later.
So, Billy, congratulations on the new album. As I was telling my audience, I always like to do interviews with artists about a new album coming out very close to the release of the album, because even though a lot of music comes out in advance these days, people have short attention spans, and they get a chance to really dig right in if they like what they hear. And your album comes out tomorrow, so this is perfect timing. This is, I believe, your 3rd or 4th solo album, right? Hollow?
It is. It's the 4th, but it's really the 2nd serious, here we go, giving birth to a body of work type deal. You know, the Morrison Project a couple of years ago was the first one that I really felt, oh God, we had a number 1, we had a number 7, I think. And I started to think, okay, maybe I have something to say. And so now this follow-up, I'm so proud of it, Eddie. It's, I didn't think I was going to do another one, but I had the songs, and the record label are just amazing that they support me. The thing that I'm not trying to be Taylor Swift and get a solo career here. What makes it fun for me is the team that I have around me are old school. We do vinyl, we do CDs, we do tons of videos that look like they're $1 million budget, you know, how music used to be, you know, and an album, 12 songs with a story that goes through it and a journey, side A, side B. I'm surrounded by people that do that, and it makes it worth doing it for me.
And look, as an old school rock fan myself, I appreciate the hell out of that, and I think that's great that you do that. And I love where you're coming from, and I love the fact that this record, I mean, there's many different sides to it. It's a killer rock record top to bottom, but you've got all these different elements in this, as you've done in the past. And I was saying off the air, you are a big collaborator. You love, it seems, to collaborate with people, and you have, I would think, quite the Rolodex, if you will, to use an old school term, of people that you call on to collaborate with. Of course, you've done stuff with the late great Ozzy, but also even looking down this record, I mean, some of the people that you've worked with on here. On the first track, you had Sully Erna and Nuno on there. You've got Marilyn Manson on here. You've got all these different, Chuck D, I mean, Duff McKagan, who was just on my show the other day. I mean, all these people that you work with and collaborate. Where does that come from, Billy? Because I was saying off the air, you know, I saw you recently in Vegas playing with Royal Machines, and I know that's very much a collaborative thing. Does a lot of this come from the association with working with all these different people over the years?
Well, yes, but I think ultimately collaboration for me keeps me sharp as a player, as a songwriter. It keeps me on my toes. Only the other day I got asked to play a solo on a thrash band's record, a band called Aftermath, and you know, I don't play thrash, but I was honored and I've done it, and I think it's going to come out at some point. And I think that the real collaboration, I don't want to be in a dictatorship. I want to collaborate. I want to learn. I mean, sitting in the booth with Manson, watching him do his vocals is incredible. I mean, the guy knows exactly who he is and what he wants and how to get it. Or Sully, I sat there watching Sully do his vocals. I can only learn and grow from that experience. It's never going to be a bad thing. My playing has got exponentially better through years of standing on a stage with Slash, with Steve Stevens, with Nuno, with Navarro, with the world's great players in that Royal Machines thing. I'm going to shut up and listen. I'm going to learn, you know, and soak it in.
And of course, I imagine from a playing standpoint, I mean, for those that don't know, you've been a guitar player in Billy Idol's band for many, many years, and you're side by side every night with Steve Stevens. So that's probably a pretty cool thing too.
Dude, it's a little freaky, Eddie, because Steve, I truly don't believe Steve understands just how great he really is. Mm-hmm. And he will ask me to do stuff that I physically don't think I can do. I'm like, my fat fingers will not do that. And he just says, yeah, they can. And he walks away. And so I'm forced by being in a band with Steve Stevens to get better really quick, you know? I love being in a band with Steve and Billy. They're the greatest supporters of what I do. And, you know, Billy was on the last album. Steve is on this album on a track. It's great.
Yeah, it's really cool because you've got all these different collaborators on these different tracks, and then you have a song like "Take Me As I Am," which is officially released as a single and video, I believe, tomorrow, to coincide with the release of the actual full album. And to me, that one, you know, some of this stuff, you can feel the influence of all these different people, whether you wrote it with them or whether they guest on the record. But this one is really more purely just you, right?
I cannot tell you how not nervous, how happily nervous I am, because for years, I've been the guy that plays guitar for Billy Idol, or the guy that knows Ozzy and did some songs, or the guy that with someone else. And this song, Take Me As I Am, it comes out tomorrow. It was written by me, it's played by me, it's sung by me, the lead guitar is me. It's a me thing, and I've been hesitant to do that. And everyone around me said, no, now's the time. It's a Billy, because I put these Billy Morrison solo albums out and they're covered with my friends. It's about time to put it out. And I've got to say, the video, I'm very loyal to the team of people that are around me, the label and the people that mixed my album, Barry Pointer and Dave Donnelly. And Jane Stewart is a photographer that has done all of the visual side of the Billy Morrison solo stuff, album covers, all of it. And I asked her if she would consider a directorial debut. She's never directed a video before. And I think have you seen the video?
Yes.
Did she knock it out of the park?
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So, you know, it feels like giving birth, because this is all or nothing. This is me, Billy Morrison. Here's the video. Here's the song. So, yeah. I'll be on stage with Idol tomorrow, so maybe the pressure will be dissipated a little bit.
Here's the real question about the video, and people can see the video when it gets released tomorrow. Is that car yours?
Unfortunately, no. But I had it for a week because we kept doing reshoots and, I need the car again. So I got to drive it around for a week. And I got to tell you, Eddie, you don't want that as your daily driver. It's a beast.
Is that right? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Is it a Lamborghini? Is it a Ferrari? What was it?
It's a Lamborghini Murcielago. And it is the loudest, most obnoxious sounding, amazing thing to drive. And I'm sure people are going to love to watch it just for the car. It's beautiful.
I want to ask you about some of the people you collaborated in terms of the songwriting on this record. Excuse me, because, you know, on Becoming, which was the first track, you worked with Sully co-wrote the song with you. And also Brett Scallions, who is the former singer from Fuel, and I love Fuel. So you worked with people like that. You worked with, on No Suspects, you've got Chuck D on there. You've got Josh Freese, he was on this show not long ago. Leave No Trace, you wrote with Duff McKagan. What else on here? Never Gonna Change, Jacob Bunton, super talented guy. I know Jacob very well.
Yeah.
So you've got so many different people. I think when people look at this stuff and they look at some of the people you have actually performing on the record, amazing names, no doubt. Dexter Holland from The Offspring is on here. You did a track with him. That was a previous single. But from the songwriting aspect, working with some of these people as collaborators in writing, how does that work? Is it you have the seed of the idea and you said, hey, I got to bounce this off of somebody I might, or what's the way that works?
Well, you know, that's a really astute question. And I think that it's different for every song. For instance, the song with Sully and Nuno came from a riff that Brett Scallions had sent me. That started with a Brett Scallions riff. And there was other stuff around that riff that I took away. I said, this is the winning, this here's the winning riff. And so I build the song around that riff. There are other songs where it becomes a little difficult. The reason it's a Billy Morrison solo album is that everything has to feel good to me, you know? And so sometimes I am steering the ship through waters that I don't want to be in, if that makes sense. And it's come over here and I've got to gently take the steering wheel and I've got to bring it back over here and now we're good again. And I think I'm listed as producer of the album, which I am. And I think that is the producer's job, to take talent like that and keep it in the vein of the overarching sound of the record. I think I did a good job of that. Most of the songwriting starts with me. I would say 90% of the album starts with me writing it. Most of the co-writes are lyrical, to be honest, because I'm not going to tell Marilyn Manson or Duff McKagan what to sing, what to write. You know, if from the last album, like I would always use this. I had Al Jurgensen on the last album. You don't ask Al Jurgensen to appear on a record and then try and tell him how to sound and what to sing. You just go, Al, here's the track, you know? And it's the same with Manson. I would never try and, I'm asking people that I love and respect what they do to just do what they do, but do it on this music. So that's the co-writes are a lot really lyrically.
Yeah. You know, you brought up Manson a couple times, and he's on a track on the record, and I've always been a fan, and I know Manson as well, and I'm really happy for him because he has really changed. I mean, in a best of ways, and gotten totally sober. I mean, did you know Manson for a long time? Because I knew him back when he was anything but, and now he's a completely different guy for the better, and he got his career back too, which is great. So do you have a lot of history with him?
I mean, we've gotten a lot, let's put it this way. I've known him for a long, long while. I definitely knew him back then, but we've gotten a lot closer. I mean, you can't help but get closer to people when they stop being loaded. Most people I know become much nicer when they're not getting hammered, you know.
Well, I bring this up specifically too because, of course, of your own history. So I figured you'd go there because you could certainly relate.
100%. You would not. I would not be able to make these records or hang out or even talk to you if I was loaded. You wouldn't want that. I'm an idiot when I'm using, like most of us. Manson is a joy to be around. He's a lovely man. I reconnected really seriously at Ozzy's funeral. I had to do one of the eulogies in England at the house, and I haven't been in that kind of state in a long while. I was really emotional, and he helped me. He helped me a lot. Unconditional love. He put his arm around me and he said a few things, and that meant the world. And then we got back to America, and I said, listen, I've got this track, and there's only one person that can sing it, and it's you. And he loved it, and we did it.
Oh, wow. You know, you bring up Ozzy, and of course, it's just been, it's right around a year now coming up that we lost him. Everybody knows of your relationship and your closeness, especially people listening here on Sirius XM because of all the great stuff you did with him over on his channel. How has the last year for you been? I imagine very, very hard, but when you look back and you see the outpouring of love and respect and the tributes and everything that's happened, and then some of the things that's happened since we lost him, how are you feeling about everything? I know that it's something you're probably never going to get over, but how do you look back on the last year?
I think that the anniversaries that happened recently were no harder for me than the other 364 days that I've missed the guy. You know what I mean? It was really tough for a few months. I can tell you I still haven't watched either of the documentaries. I can't. I'm in them both, and I can't watch them. I don't think I need to watch them, to be honest with you, Eddie. I'm happy that the man is at peace. He's not in pain anymore, and he's at peace. And the love, listen, there are presidents of countries that don't get the love Ozzy Osbourne had when he passed, when he left us, when the anniversaries rolled around. And so, I miss my friend. I miss my friend. That's it. But I'm happy that the world doesn't forget him.
Yeah, no, that'll never happen.
I still get emotional, dude. I still get emotional.
Hey, I understand. I mean, I was super close to Ace Frehley for over 40 years, and I still haven't totally processed that. I was in I should mention, I misspoke. Of course, we just passed the anniversary of Ozzy's death. I said coming up, but of course we passed it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, Billy, I was watching a Kiss tribute band the other day, and there was a guy in front of me. I didn't know him, and he was wearing a Ace Frehley t-shirt with just a big picture of Ace on the back. And I actually just started getting, breaking down a little bit, just staring at this guy's t-shirt. And so people that wouldn't know or didn't know the history that I had with him, they might be like, what's wrong with this guy? What's happening? And I just had to take a breath and take a beat and kind of recompose myself. But just staring at the back of a stranger's shirt and seeing my friend's face and knowing what it meant to me and obviously so many people. So those things will happen, and that's something that I'm sure you're going to experience with Ozzy. I didn't know Ozzy personally like you did, but I've had the same thing with Ace since he passed.
And Eddie, grief is grief, and grief is very weird, and it comes at the most unexpected times. And when I get hit the most is when something ridiculously funny happens in a restaurant, and I go to text him, because that's what we did. Is I'd say, this idiot just dropped soup all over, whatever it is, and I realize he's not there, and that's it. But grief is funny, and it comes very unexpectedly.
One other thing I want to ask you about, Billy, and I thought this was great, and we should direct people to this as well. Again, Billy's album Hollow, which we're talking about, comes out tomorrow. But you, before this, you released a little documentary on YouTube, which is brilliantly titled. It's called Who the Fuck is Billy Morrison? And some of the people we're talking about do appear in this doc. Tell me why you wanted to do that. I imagine there's some people that I'm taking a guess here, like, wait a minute, this guy was close with Ozzy and he's got all these heavy people on his show, but who the fuck is he? So was that the idea behind it?
Look, it came from my PR guy, Mitch, who you know. Sure. I don't think he was serious. He said, we were running into, look, in the rock world, I guess people know who I am, but I don't expect the world to know who Billy Morrison is. I'm the guy who stands beside the guy. Always have been, and that's fine. And Mitch said, yeah, we should do a little mini documentary called Who the Fuck is Billy Morrison? Well, that's the wrong thing to say to me, because I will go out and make that documentary. So we did. And luckily, my friends are the thing people need to understand about all this solo stuff, they're my friends. I'm not hitting managers up. So I called Nuno and Duff and Be Real and, Al, who I know are going to be complimentary, but I also said, I want you to be tongue in cheek. I need to take myself lightly here. And we made it, and, I think it's nice. I think it does actually show who the fuck is Billy Morrison, but not in a narcissistic way. I mean, I'm just trying to get the word out there that there's a good solo album coming out tomorrow, Eddie.
No, but I thought it hit the perfect tone, and I bring it up because there's probably, even though I've talked about you and played your stuff, I'm sure there's people listening right now that says, who is this British dude he's talking to? How does he know all these guys? How does he have all these people on his record? And if you want to find out the backstory, it's about, 7-8 minutes long. You can go to YouTube, and there it is.
It's a very easy watch, and there's some comical stuff in there. I think Al Jurgensen has the best line, which is, what could go wrong?
And Nuno, who always strikes that perfect tone too. He has great, something. Yeah. Here's something there. He's like, Billy Morrison, who the fuck is that? There's something like that Nuno did.
What he said was, isn't he related to Jim Morrison? That's why I'm here.
Hey, one last thing. You are still doing a radio show now on Sirius XM right now as well? Yeah. Influenced you're doing? Yeah,
I had 2 shows for the longest time. It's my show, which is Influenced, and obviously Ozzy Speaks. But I'm still doing Influenced. They haven't asked me to leave yet, so I keep doing it. I'm in my 5th year now of doing that show, and it's, I like it, Eddie. I like to be creative, and I don't interview in the normal way. Much like yourself, it's a chit chat. It's not, I cannot stand. So what's it like being in Poland today? Yeah, it's like, haven't we all seen that interview before?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the more people on air like you and I, the better. So yeah, I mean, I'm still doing Influenced. They let me do it every month. I think they're happy with me. So, you can catch me on Sirius.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because you can hear Billy on the airwaves here as well. So, and Billy Idol, you're playing with, when did you say, tomorrow? You got a gig tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm in Boston. You can see it's a hotel room here. We just landed yesterday, so the first show of the tour is tomorrow in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But we hub, so we're going to be in Boston for a week, and we fly to and from the shows. And it all leads up, we go through Vegas for the residency at the Fontainebleau, and then it all leads up to the well-deserved Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Billy and Steve. We are playing. I'm very honored to be playing it with Billy and Steve, and I'm so happy for those guys.
So crazy overdue. So it's glad that it's, yeah. And I'm a voter for the Hall of Fame. And of course I voted for them. It's so deserving and so overdue. And thankfully it's happening, because one of my big peeves with the Hall of Fame is they wait so long on so many deserving artists to put them in, that sadly when they get there, key members have passed away or can't play anymore. You just saw what happened with Bad Company. Paul Rodgers couldn't sing. It's terrible. I mean, Bad Company should have went in 20 years ago, and they could actually have the band playing. So the fact that, Billy Idol defies all explanation with how he looks and how good he can still perform at his age.
Eddie, just before we came out on the road, we did a Royal Machines gig the day before we flew. It was a private, and Billy did 3 songs. And I found myself standing he was so on fire. And I'm playing going, dude, how do you do that? He's the same guy that he was 40 years ago. It's crazy.
He's still taking his shirt off.
yeah, and he still looks good, So good
exactly.
And I love that Steve is going in as well, because he deserves it.
100%. So that's all good stuff as well. Well, listen, my friend, travel safe out there. Congratulations on the new album. Again, it's out tomorrow. If you love real rock and roll, man, there's great stuff on here. It's all sorts of good music and all, different guests. And like we said, the track hitting tomorrow is just pure Billy, but there's a bunch of other things smattered along the record as well to check out. You even got my buddy Fred Corey playing drums on a bunch of tracks. I love Fred. He was just on with me a couple days ago, and I told him, I said, you got to get back out there behind a kid again, playing some. He's having great success with all this scoring and things he's doing, but I think he brought up that he played on your record in the interview as well, so he was excited.
Yeah, so great to have him.
Great. All right, Billy. Well, listen, congrats on everything, and I'll be seeing you soon, man. Take care, all right? And say hi to the guys.
Eddie. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. There's Billy Morrison, everybody. Again, Hollow is out tomorrow. Buy it. Look, like Billy said, you've got cassettes. Maybe because you doing cassettes? Everyone does cassettes now.
We didn't. There's CD, there's vinyl, there's digital.
All right. Well, that's good enough, but that's a thing now. I don't know if you know that. I don't know how many
next album, Eddie. The next album.
Yeah. Well, then by the next album, you'll have to do 8 tracks.
Oh, God.
Open reel. Where's it going to go? I don't know. But anyway, whatever format you currently can get, CDs, which is my favorite, vinyl, and of course on all your streaming platforms, Hollow is out tomorrow. Thank you guys for listening to Trunk Nation. Have a good weekend, everybody. Back live with you guys on Monday to kick off another week of Rock Talk, as usual, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, here on Faction Talk 103. Get caught up on anything, Duff McKagan, all the stuff we had earlier in the week, on the SiriusXM app. Just punch in my name or Trunk Nation. It'll all come up. All right, have a good one. We'll be back live on Monday. Talk to you then.